Luke, you want to jump in the back and talk through it all?
We had a good conversation about the recruiting. You showing up.
We
at
won't
his
tell
house.
you which player, though. We won't tell you which player.
I won't tell you which player.
All right, Luke. Yeah, Luke's. He's a really smart guy. Really smart and really dialed in.
Well, the team asked me, they're like, "Are you gonna ask him about him being Bill Murray's kid?" And I'm like, "No, because that like completely minimizes all his accomplishments." And like, I would think it was for you, very similar with you for a long time when, you know, your dad's kid or your you know, sibling's brother.
Yeah, we bonded over that. So I remember when I first met him. I mean, when you get the Wagner job and you know, you don't, I think he was probably, I hired him very cheap. Because basically
He said $8,000.
I thought so, cheap. Yeah. I had a limited budget, but I knew he was really, really smart and like the work ethic, like he loves it, you know, and like just like, he'd never get bored of it. He'd never, you know, he obsesses over it.
Would he have gone to the Lakers with you if you went?
I don't know. We never really got that far down the line. I mean, I was bouncing. I mean, we talked about it. Him and Kamani should both have more opportunities, but
Which
jobs.
that bothers you, right?
It bothers me. Just who wouldn't? You watch these NCAA tournament games and you're an AD. You don't want your team to maybe look like that?
Right.
It's like, you know, like these guys, they have a culture that jumps through the screen.
By the way, so what do you think of the area we're in right now?
I like it. It's I like to ride in. It's nice and scenic, and it's like it gives you time to decompress. The negative is, as recruits will attest to, there's all types of drop zones with the phone. So I know exactly how to time up calling a recruit.
Doesn't that aspect of it get exhausting, the communication with, you know, high school or college kids trying to get them to join the team?
Yeah, I think the frustrating part is that you don't get to pick. I mean, there are some schools who recruits look at them in such a light that they get, you know, they really do get first choice. You know, there's a...
And those schools being who?
I don't want to say them.
Does that mean Kentucky and Duke? Is that what?
I'm not going to say anyone's name, but it's... but
that's what you've mentioned in articles before, like you felt like you don't get the same exposure as...
The thing I'll say about, you know, UConn is we do... obviously the brand has never been stronger than it is right now. But for us, we got to stick to getting the same types of kids we've been getting. You're serious about basketball, you're serious about, no one makes a mistake by picking UConn. You know, you don't get seduced, you know, by something, the weather, you know, you pick it for the right reasons, the place. You pick it because you love UConn, you believe in the basketball program. They know they're going to be coached and held to a very high standard. But the rewards for doing that are, you know, the rewards right now to come and play here and do the things the way we do them. You know, we're winning championships and we're producing high draft picks.
As I understand it, you're a pretty big germ freak.
Yeah, sometimes.
Care to...
Mostly during the winter.
Okay.
Mostly it's like, I don't want to get sick and I don't want to get other people sick. So like if I'm coaching and I've got a cold, then I'll wear gloves to try to prevent the players. I want the players to not be like struggling with an illness or a sickness. So
right.
Some of it I'm trying to prevent the team from getting it from me, and sometimes I'll like notice somebody else is coughing or sneezing and I'll put gloves on to be preventative.
Andrea said you took it to pretty great lengths during
on
COVID.
Flights.
What would you do?
I learned that's really just anxiety and some of that like struggling flying, like say you have last row, middle seat. That's where I learned meditation. And then now,
would you have freakouts on the plane?
prior to getting on the plane, and then yes, on the plane, and I would get up and I'd walk the aisle some. So that's when I developed the mindfulness practices, the meditation, and now we've expanded it with, we bring in like a yoga instructor who teaches breathing techniques, and we've studied that to control the nervous system.
How has that helped?
It's helped a lot. Like, believe it or not, like I'm very calculated with my outbursts. It's very rare.
I love how you said, believe it or not.
That's not the perception. The perception is obviously something else. But yeah, I mean, like most of what I do, it's pretty premeditated, or it's done to try to create something else. So but for the most part, this stuff like has changed so much of like your ability to think and concentrate, to mitigate game day anxiety, to think clearer in pressure moments when you're concentrating on your breathing, and you could focus your mind.
Has religion played a big role in your life?
Oh, huge role, I think. In the worst moments I've had, and it's like finding a relationship with God as a player when I was not doing well and I was struggling, finding a consistent relationship with God at that stage. And then during the health crisis I dealt with, I would just pray Psalms 23 non-stop.
Your wife said if you lose, you'll go to church, but then you'll sneak out the side door.
Some days when we're winning, I go out the side door, but that is a thing. I mean, the thing you have to understand which I think me and my brother model, and we learned it from my dad, was just again how personal we take it, and if we've just lost, we feel like a little bit or a lot of shame.
Andrea said that going out in public after a loss has now started impacting her too. She brought up, did she tell you about the Whole Foods incident?
Oh yeah. She's told me about things that I was not aware of after the fact, like death threats and letters that have been left at the mailbox and in various places that we've lived after things were looking bleak. I didn't know about it. I'm mad that she doesn't share it, but she's strong and tough, and a lot of people would have not handled it like that.
And I don't know if there was more to this story, but she said after some loss in the past couple of years, she went to Whole Foods, and in the middle of the store, she just starts bawling. And she has to go to her car to regain her composure. And she said it was for no other reason that the team lost, and she felt people looking at her.
It consumes everything, this thing, and for her, she didn't grow up in this environment. For me, in a way, you feel like you were raised by wolves, like you're from Jersey City and you've been in this world your whole life. Like, I was raised by wolves. I'm a wolf. I can handle this.
It consumes everything in a way that you think is healthy?
No, it is part of it. It's definitely unhealthy. I think.
What part do you think is unhealthy? Like
pushing yourself hard enough, but still don't miss your life as it flies by, would be what I would. Because there's a penalty for this. There's a price for this whole thing. You miss a lot of your life. Like I talked to my brother about that a lot. You miss a lot of your life. You miss all the winter holidays. You miss birthdays. You just miss vacations and doing things that other people get to do. I think I'm saving it on the back end. That's why I know I want to get done with it at some point so that I can enjoy the last part of my life with Andrea and my kids doing cool stuff. And maybe being done a little bit earlier is the way to go for it.
All right, so you have to tell me the buying the Jersey Shore house behind your back story.
Oh, man. I mean, I was just beat up. I mean, I was literally floating in a tub, COVID, season going on, end of season, games canceled, you know, just a complete debacle of a time during the year. I think it was pre-Big East tournament, and I'm just like, I'm just trying to get to the finish line, and what's been a brutal year. And she comes into and asks me, "Hey, can we buy a small place at the Jersey Shore?" And I'm like so tired and delirious. Plus, it's every kid from North Jersey's dream to end up with some type of a little place at the shore.
Uh-huh.
So I was just like, all right, fine. And I never saw it. I ended up, the day of the signing, I just went there to sign the papers, and I had no idea what went into buying a house, because I don't really get involved in those things. She really frees it up for me to really focus on what I do, really. I mean, it's like, it takes an awful lot of trust each way. She could take every car. Every car is in her name. Mm-hmm. I mean, like, everything's in her name. I mean, if she wanted to just like leave me and take everything, I mean, I'm very vulnerable at this point, because I'm like real simple. I watched my dad do the same exact stuff.
Is that good or bad?
He couldn't hang a picture. I don't think it's good. I mean, I think it's great in a sense that, like, it frees me up to really focus on the coaching and being a good dad and husband. Like, it frees me up to where I'm not on the phone with accountants and all different, you know, banks and all different things during the day. It works, but I mean, I should be more well-rounded.